How's it going, everybody? I'll wait for some folks to roll in here. Get fly? There's a fly. What's up, Mark? You hit 315 yet? You try that 300? If not, I'm gonna need you to work harder. What's up, Josh? Look, my wife made this sweater. I have to wear it, all right? I like this sweater. It's a really nice sweater, guys, isn't it? Look at that. Top tier. Fancy stuff. My wife made this sweater. Yes, actually, Mark, I have tried 370. It's a nice sweater. This is a nice sweater. I actually really enjoy this sweater. I'm ready for winter where I can actually wear it. Here in the South, we're built different, though. We're built different in the South. You can wear this kind of stuff in the summer, you know what I'm saying? Weight cut. That's a weight cut. You know, I got to get all this moisture out. Hold on, let me adjust something real quick. How's everybody's Sundays going so far, though? Yeah, we big chilling right now. Sundays is always a relaxed stream. We only stream for usually like 20 or 30 minutes on Sundays, but ultimately we always stream, right? That being said, I do think there's a possibility we won't stream on Tuesday. I've got a bit of long form content I have to record, and it's going to be something I have to record normally when we stream. So we might have to take a Tuesday off of the stream. I haven't decided yet. I got to figure out how to organize that appropriately, because I've got an idea for a video that I want to do that I think you guys will like, but I can't do that video and the stream. Try resubscribing, Alex, and make sure that little notification bell is clicked. That's usually the problem. The notification bell, you got to make sure that's clicked, otherwise it won't send you the notifications. I did the announcement in the Discord today, though, to make sure everybody got their announcement. What's up, Brian? What's up, Daniel? A little bit of pre-workout and some creatine. I tell you what, though, this heat wave has brought all the flies out, guys. It's so bad. This little heat wave we have has brought every single fly out. I can deal with the heat, but there's so many flies right now. So many flies. But that's the South for you. Flies and mosquitoes, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to do this stream outside, and they smell the coffee, I guess. What's up, Martin? I enjoy my rocking chair, all right? And my fancy sweater. Have you seen my fancy sweater yet, Mossberg? My wife made it. Brittany made the sweater. God, I bring a coffee out here, and it's like every fly in the city is a caffeine addict. What in the world? My pride is worth a lot to me. There's no cost. There's no amount of money I'd take to bark like a dog on the ground. I have this thing called pride, and I hold it close to my chest, close to my heart. Nope. Air conditioned, Tate. Air conditioned sweater. I've got a small air conditioner in the bottom of the sweater. Believe it or not, so here's how I'm fighting the heat. Are you guys ready? I'm in the sweater. You're like, Chris, you're not even sweating in a sweater, right? Sweater's very warm. But I raise my internal temperature with coffee, so in turn, the outside temperature feels cooler. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying? Big braining it. You don't see, there's not a drop of sweat on my forehead. I am doing well. I am doing well. Well, so you're gonna. I drink. I work out at like 11 at night, 12 at night. Do you realize that I have a shot of pre-workout at like 10:30 every night? 2 shots of pre-workout actually. That's what's in here. 2 shots of or a shot of pre-workout and 10 grams of creatine. 4 cup a day. 4 cup a day. 4 cups a day. I still want the beta alanine and the citrulline and stuff, Mark. So there's certain supplements in my pre-workout that I still want to get on a daily basis, and I don't mind the extra caffeine. So I do 1 shot though. I do 1 scoop of pre-workout on my rest days, whereas on a standard day, I would do 2 shots. I'll have 4 cups of coffee a day typically. 4 cups of coffee a day. I don't take melatonin. I'm from South Carolina. It's about like 95 degrees out right now. But I really like this sweater. My wife hand crocheted. She crocheted this entire sweater. Mark, focus on the stream. Focus on the stream, all right, Mark? Focus up. Focus up. She did a good job. I'll let her know that you thought she did a good job. I don't think anybody's going to say that this sweater isn't a top tier job, all right? Every time, Mark. Every time, Mark. My wife made this. My wife made this sweater. She crochets as a hobby. She watches Pokemon and crochets. Like that's the gig. It is. So this is like a special crochet thing she did. Like this stitch here, it's like a crosshatch. It's really nice. I'm okay. I'm good, Nexus. I appreciate the offer though. That being said, if my grandmother did crochet me a sweater, I would wear it. I've been married most of my adult life. Yes, I have a good job. I have a good job. I'm a fitness trainer, strength trainer. We don't do politics here, Savage, but we're gonna be okay. Got to move to the south, Alex. Come out here to South Carolina. That's where it's at. Got to get you a southern wife. They know how to cook. And then there's Mark's idea. I mean, you pick your idea, Alex. I mean, that's probably easier in California. A lot more of that going on over there. Which to each their own. Yeah, I'm good. I enjoy the southern feel, you know. I enjoy the southern feel. It's very quiet, very calm, cool, collected. Cool. Okay, so maybe not cool. Calm, cool, collected. Calm, hot as shit, and collected. That's what it is. All right. I have a slight accent with certain words. It's kind of hard to pick it out because I've lived a lot of places. I've also worked in all the fields I've worked with are with people, so I tend to talk to a lot of people that don't have Southern accents. So my accent is very mixed, but it depends on where I'm at and who I'm around for a long period of time. If I'm out with more of the countryside of the family, a little bit more heavy Southern accent, it'll go a little bit further that direction. If I'm with my side of the family, which is mostly Northern, I don't get a Northern accent, but it kind of dissipates the Southern accent a bit. So you have Southern, and then you have Creole Southern. You also have things like Gullah. You have a lot of different accents and a lot of different even languages. You even have some French down here. Some French speakers that speak like a mixture of French and American, or French and English. Um, that's more your Creole side. But going down into Florida, you're probably hitting closer to that Creole, like Louisiana accent. I will say that I have some family, some close family that has that level of accent, and I have some good friends that have that level of accent. And even for me living in the South, it's hard to understand them sometimes. Like I've had people say stuff to me that I know them very well, and they'll say a sentence, and I'm like, man, you have to run that back. We're gonna have to work on pronunciation because there was a lot of vowels you didn't use that you're supposed to use in a lot of those words. So, how's it going, Cal? French Canadian. There you go, Martin. We got some French Southern, Martin. It's very uh, it's very interesting how often you find areas that have held onto their French side of their culture. Um, so yeah, so Gullah is a whole different beast, Dakota. I've got a couple of clients that their family, they had some friends or some family that spoke it, but it's almost English like that. It almost English, right? It's a whole different language. What's up, CD? What is it? Because I'm in a rocking chair? Do y'all just not like rocking chairs? Who doesn't like rocking chairs? Is that a Southern thing? Rocking chairs? Yeah, we get so to find people that speak more of the French, you have to go closer to the coast or go down into Louisiana, maybe lower Florida, some northern Florida in the Panhandle. But it's like pockets. It's pockets. Yeah, there's a lot of rocking chairs in the South, guys. If you guys ever go to the South, you're gonna find rocking chairs. We like to relax here outside in our porch. So, mind you, guys, if you live in a city, you probably won't see rocking chairs as often outside. But every house here has a rocking chair just about on the porch because we all have big front we all have front yards. It's not like the city where you're real like kind of squished together. You got more to do, but you don't have a lot of space, right? Here, I've got a half acre around me, and I have a smaller, a smaller bit of land than most people. I mean, I wouldn't say smaller. I have a decent little bit. I have a half acre that I live on. So, I've never thought about it that way. It might help with the heat a little bit. Helps keep the mosquitoes off too, right? Ugh. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm not actually that warm. Once, so the thing about this the heat in the south, guys, it's a lot of humidity, so you kind of get like skin moisture, right? Like I have a little bit of moisture on my forehead, but it's not like direct sunlight right now. Like it's starting to overcast a bit, so I'm not getting a ton of direct sun. It is, and I will tell you right now, it is daytime. It is daytime, but this is like late in the day. People don't understand that dry heat is so much easier on the body, because you're not sweating out all the moisture, right? So the difference is like the difference between a dry heat and a humid heat is how much you sweat, right? So like when I was living in Texas, because I lived in Texas for 9 years, um, we it was hot, and you would be hot. You get sunburned, you get overheated, but you wouldn't sweat, so you wouldn't know that you were drying out until it was too late and you were dehydrated. Here, you're drying out because you're sweating constantly. I'm in South Carolina. Yeah, we're getting there to nighttime. We've got another couple hours before we hit nighttime. I like these rocking chair streams on Sunday, those guys. This is gonna become a regular edition, I feel like. It's gonna become a regular edition. And as the night progresses, like, but by the way, guys, this is also super helpful having this big sweater on right now because we have all these mosquitoes out right now. So yeah, and Sundays are one of those things where I just kind of want to chat and kick back. I don't want to have to, always have a task. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to always have a task that I have to deal with. I like a relaxing Sunday. So basically today, all I've done is we had some chicken wings today. Felt pretty good, or tastes pretty good. See you, Martin. I had some hot wings today for dinner with some potatoes. It was tasty. It was a good day. Some coffee, some yogurt. I just ate all day and just sat around. Fucking mosquitoes, man. We don't do that, Elvis. We don't do that. I'll say the only thing about the South that I cannot get used to when it comes to the environment is the mosquitoes. God, there's so many mosquitoes, man. Because it's a moist environment. We're basically tropical here, right? For the most part, very very tropical, like in like humidity levels. So there's always water everywhere. There's always puddles and stuff. The mosquitoes thrive in the South. Mosquitoes thrive in the South. But like that one right there, you guys see that? Nice thing is my skin's pretty thick from all the lifting, so they don't get through my skin very easily. I don't think I'm gonna get any dengue or malaria here in South Carolina. That was not a gnat. I promise that wasn't a gnat. That was definitely a mosquito. We don't get a lot of gnats here. We don't get a lot of fruit flies. We get a lot of regular flies, and we get a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of wasps. I have to knock down wasp nests constantly. Spiders, we get a ton of spiders. If I can catch one while we're out here, we get skinks, some big old blue-tongued skinks, like some big old boys. Actually, I see one. Hold on. Not a skink, guys. So hold on. Let me see if I can catch him. Almost got it. It got behind the thing, guys. There was a frog out here. It was a little tree frog. I tried grabbing him, but he got it behind the thing first. What's up, Gage? We get we don't get like roaches in our environment out here, right? Like regular like cockroaches, but we get what's called a palmetto bug. We get what's called a palmetto bug, which looks like a roach. It's a giant roach-like thing. You'll find them out on like your yard and stuff sometimes, up on trees. Sometimes if you keep your light on at night on the front door, you'll find them by your front door. They're outdoor bugs. They generally don't make their way inside, but they're like this big, and they're cockroaches, but they're like that big. But they generally stay outside. They're outdoor bugs. They don't like indoors, which is preferable because I don't want them in my house. Keep a very clean house. So here's what I'll say, Alex, about that. I have some family that worked for UPS at one point. Depending on where you go, because I think UPS has a thing where their pay is standard across the board. So whether you work in Virginia, South Carolina, California, Oregon, Washington, doesn't matter where in the U.S. you work, your pay is a standard, right? So they don't change their pay based on the state. So working in California for UPS may not be like as good, but here in South Carolina, if you're working for UPS, you make pretty good money. Yeah. People that work for UPS out here live pretty well. They eat pretty good because our cost of living is so low comparatively. So if you ever move, I'd recommend a transfer. If you're ever going to go to the South, I would stick with UPS and go somewhere where the cost of living's real low, that would be the play, man. That would be the play. Because your cost of living gets cut in half. Your pay is basically double as far as your buying power. You know. Couldn't tell you, Cal. I just show up and turn the camera on. I'm in South Carolina. Good old South Cat. My children are looking out the window. You guys can't see them, but they can see the camera, and they know I'm on camera. But they are excitable, so we're not going to bring them out right now. I couldn't tell you, Cal. My videos are all face reveals. I'm very liberal with my self-image. Chickens are you talking about the one that got attacked? Yeah, the chicken's doing good. The chicken's doing good. We just took her new bandage off yesterday. It looks healed. We had taken it off, and then the other chickens got interested in the wound because it had a scab on it, and they opened the wound back up, messing with her. Because chickens are not super nice to each other, so we had to rebandage her and move her again. Will you push the button? You get perfect eyesight, but you stub. I like my eyes. I don't have a problem with my eyesight. I have terrible eyesight. I'm okay with that. I have terrible eyesight, and I'm okay with that. I do have. So here's the thing, though. Terrible eyesight, but hold on. I do have a good old blue eye. Look at that. I do have blue eyes. So we traded one for the other. A little bit of dry skin too. A little bit of dry skin. My eyes are very blue. Very blue. These are interesting questions. I'm not going to continue doing this that kind of Q&A. You're welcome to hang out in the chat, but we're not going to do that kind of Q&A. I am not Jewish, no. I am Scottish. I am Scottish. And Irish, but I thought about getting a kilt. The red beard does kind of give it away, right? The red beard does kind of give it away. Oh, I am very American, Dane. We're talking about heritage here, but I am very American. Yes, Cal. I am Christian. I am very American. Sunday's rest day, bully. That's solid work, Zero. Yeah, you have a difference between where your heritage is from as like if you're from like any descent of anything else. But I was born in America. I'm American first, you know. So I'm American first. So American. I'm American with a Scottish and Irish heritage. Does that make sense? So Dane, I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna disagree with you on that point. Okay, so that, and I get it. I get it. There is something to be said for the treatment of people when this area was settled by Europeans, but there is a certain point where people become native to an area, right? How many generations do we call it before it's native to an area, right? So because if you go back 100 like 10,000 years, who was here then, or who you go look at Europe, who was in Europe before the Europeans, are they now the natives of Europe? You kind of, that ball always rolls another step back, and that's why I have a problem with that. Unless we can establish what is considered a time frame to become native to an area, we can't have that conversation, And whether I completely agree that it was an awful atrocity that happened when this area was settled, but when the U.S. was settled by Europeans, it was not done nicely. Obviously, I have no disagreement on that fact. That's the thing. It was horrendous. But at some point, the people that are here become native to an area. Um, that like my children and their children eventually, some point, will stop calling themselves Scottish. I'm sure, you know. Just like you go far enough back in my lineage, and you'll find that my family eventually, at some point, was probably in Africa, and at some point they were in the Middle East, and at some point they were in Russia. Like how far back do you pull? Yeah, we're just Americans. When people ask where your heritage is from, if you have the information, that's great. That's cool as a talking point. But if someone ever like, here's the thing: if you really want to determine where you are from, um, if you have lived in an area long enough, in my opinion, and someone asks you where you're from, this is the decision maker for me. If you had to get drafted into a military somewhere in the world, and everybody was for themselves, which country would you get drafted into? Which country would you fight for? That ultimately is what you should call yourself nationality wise. Because if you're not willing to say, like, if you're from the U.S. or you're from America, and you say, if America did such and such, went to war with such and such, I'd go inside with them because I'm from there. Then you're not American. You're wherever from. That's the case. But um, that being said, I don't hold that against you. If you're from Germany and came to live in the U.S., and and you did all the right things to come here to live in the U.S., and you live here, but you're like, hey, worst came to worst, if Germany and the U.S. decide they didn't like each other anymore, I'd go back to Germany. I don't hold that against you. That's fair. It's fair. I don't hold that against you. Not that I have any problem with Germany, obviously, but I was just using it as an example. I don't want any of my German viewers to get upset. I'm not complaining about Germany in particular. I promise. Um, I have a lot of family of German descent. I have no problem with I learned German. I know some German. I do not have an issue with German people. uh, a lot of German family. I have some German heritage far enough back if you look. But look, the world's been at war with each other for what? Since existence? You go far enough back, and the first two tribes of people were probably fighting each other over the same, like, four fruit trees. You know what I'm saying? Like, every single civilization in history has been at war with another civilization. There's never going to be a time when probably never going to be a time in our lifetimes that we see a time where a civilization becomes a civilization and never goes to war. But, Bully, I have to agree and disagree. I agree that, get off me, damn mosquitoes, man, everywhere. Hold on, let me move my camera around, guys. Trying to get all these damn bugs, man. Too many of them. I had like three of them land on me at the same time. Um, get a cigar. I used to smoke cigars. I don't smoke cigars anymore. I haven't smoked cigars in a long time. Um, but so here's the case that I'm gonna make here, right? What is that? Some kind of big old fly thing. Here's the case I'm gonna make here, right? God dang, all these bugs, man. What do you want? What are you? Oh, that's a wasp. Dang it. No, you. All right, we're gonna move positions here a little bit because we're getting swarmed by mosquitoes and everything else. We're gonna go to the car. Ugh, I don't feel like getting bit up today. I told you we get a lot of wasps out here too. Ugh. But yeah. So here's my perspective on that, right? Um, the what were we talking about before? God, I had a perspective on something. Oh yeah. So as far as rich people just being evil in general, like billionaires, I don't believe that every single billionaire is evil. All right, but we'll say money is a corrupting factor in most people's lives. Um, there's a certain point where I feel like people make enough money that they feel like they can just do whatever they want and they get bored and then they just do stuff that other people don't do or can't do out of the fact that they can do it. Does that make sense? But I'm going to say right now, it is not the money being a source of someone becoming less and less human, in my opinion. Um, is not restricted to one area of the world. It's not restricted to one type of person. You look anywhere in the world and you look at the people with the most money, you're gonna find evil. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, 100%. So no, so I will say right now, money does not make people evil, but it allows them to reveal themselves a little bit more. So here's the thing. I feel like people that have those tendencies are more willing to show their true colors when they're financially independent of anything else, right? So once someone has enough that they don't have to worry about what the next person thinks about them, they will start to show their true colors because they don't have to worry about their next dollar. They don't have to worry about their next paycheck, whether or not they'll get hired or people like them. They've got billions, so they show their true colors. It bleeds through eventually. Sure, they try and hide it a little bit, but eventually they're like, I can do whatever I want, and then they show their true human. What's up, Robert? But ultimately, I'm going to move back to the. I think we've moved the bugs away from our sitting area, so we're going to move back up there. They just really wanted to land on me. I'm tired of getting bit by mosquitoes, guys. Oh look, we got a big old boy right here. Hold on, let me see if I can get a look at him. Yeah, big old boy, big old spider. Ugh. Freezing out here right now. See, as soon as I sat back down, another mosquito landed on me. As soon as I sat back down, man. I'm doing good. How you doing? How you doing? It's probably about 95 degrees out right now. It's probably about 95 degrees out right now here in Freedom Units, Darren. But yeah. Ultimately, I don't think money makes you evil, but it allows you to reveal your evil a little bit more unintentionally. I think that people with a lot of money tend to start doing things they shouldn't do because they think they can get away with it because they can buy their way out of trouble. It's the sweater. It's the sweater, right? So, but I'll tell you, this sweater is top tier, guys. This sweater is top tier. Yeah, I mean, there's no one walk of life that's just evil with their money. It's look at kings, queens, emperors, pharaohs, all these people that had the most power and money in history, right? Dictators, all this other stuff, right? The most money, the most power, they could do the most good, right? And 99% of the time, they did the most bad. Um, that's the craziest part, right? I don't get into current politics, bully. I don't get into current politics. I'm happy to discuss the overarching pieces of it, but I'm not a political commentator, and I'm very serious about not making this into a political commentary channel. So yeah, there you go. Money enhances what you are. Money enhances what you are as a person. If you're a bad person and you get more money, you're gonna be more bad. Like not more bad, but you're gonna show how bad you are, right? Because you don't have to worry. Um, if you're a good person, you have money, you're gonna be able to do more good things. It enhances your ability to show who you are as a human. South Carolina, U.S. So I'm not worried about getting censored. I'm not worried about getting censored. I'm very bold with my opinions. I have I have very little worry about that. There's enough political commentary channels out there. I don't need to be one too. We have a lot of military bases, yes, Alex. We have one of the largest. We have the largest training base, if I'm not mistaken. Fort Jackson would be the largest Army training base. Yes, rich guy. That would be the way to say it. Yeah, and that's the thing is, a lot of people don't think about it this way, but it's really, really expensive to be poor in the modern world, right? So the the things that build wealth in the modern world are holding on to other wealth, like investing wealth, right? The other part to that is when you have problems in the modern world, like let's say you have I've heard this before, this is not an original thought, I don't want to claim it, but let's say you have a broken tooth, a cavity in your tooth, right, and you need a crown and a bridge. Here in the US that's going to cost you a couple grand, right? Now the average person here in the US right now doesn't just have 2 grand to drop on a tooth, right? um, And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it so you can't afford to fix the tooth. If you're poor in the U.S., 2 grand is a lot of money, right? In the U.S. as someone that's under the poverty line, and if you can't fix that tooth, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna crack. It might get infected, and now you need 4 grand worth of work. Now you need 5 grand worth of work, right? By the time you actually get around to fixing it, it's now doubled or tripled in cost to fix it, right? And but the thing is if you had the 2 grand to fix it originally, you would have saved yourself for $3,000-4,000, right? And that's one of the advantages to having money. That's one of the advantages to having money is that you can fix problems when they arise before they become more expensive, more time consuming, and more disadvantageous to your health, right? Um, the same thing with schools, right? Scholarship programs and stuff like that. Think about this. If I come from a family with money, right? This is and I'm not saying that I do or don't, right? I'm not going to talk about my personal life, but if I was coming from a family with money, I would have more access to the schools that have the programs that are going to help me get scholarships, right? I went to some pretty good schools, right? For the most part, I had a couple of schools that were meh, but I went to some pretty good schools. One of the schools I went to was a school that had what was called a magnet program, right? And we had technology courses that provided a lot of opportunity for scholarships if I decided to go that route. We had good sports programs and there was some money in the school. But you go just around the corner and that didn't exist. They didn't have a magnet program. They didn't have that, right? So those people are going to pay more for college because they didn't have access to a program that could get them a scholarship for school. Now, that being said, is there scholarships still available to those people? Yes, but not as many. And then the amount of scholarships determines how good a school you can go to. And then how good a school you go to determines how much you're going to be able to provide to your child, right? So, so I get it really depends, Alex, where you live, I guess, because I went to public schools, for a long time. I went to pretty much all public schools, and yeah, they were very loud, and we had some good programs. I think the further you get into the city, the less you see with the programs being more upfront. But the state puts a lot of attention on school programming here. Like our lottery is called the SC Education Lottery here. The South Carolina Lottery, the only reason it exists is because it's a charitable fund as well. So it actually donates its proceeds to the schools. It donates its proceeds, its profits to the schools. So, um, so I would say that my view on the I'm gonna give you guys a what I think would be the best way to fix public schooling in the U.S. I can't speak for other countries because I don't know their systems, but I can speak for the U.S. I think that the best thing we could do for the schools here, okay, is we should take some of that funding that we're dumping into these programs that aren't actually helping children, like the No Child Left Behind program that was a bust. No one's ever really been helped by that. Or the DARE program that just shows kids what drugs look like. Like those programs are redundant at this point. We know they don't work. They're not helping anybody get further or stop them from doing things they shouldn't do. Take all the millions of dollars we dump into these useless programs, right? And we need to have every single state should have one online and in person, completely state paid for public university that accepts people that live in the state and have lived in the state for more than 3 years, right? If you've lived in a state for more than 3 years and you actively have an address there, you should be completely free. Every state should have one school at least that's completely free for residents to go to. It would not cost that much to fund it if we cut those other thick programs, right? We already do that. We already donate tons of money to these colleges, right? To these colleges that don't do anything, right? That do anything, right? We donate all this money to these sports programs. What is the highest? So here's the thing, Alex. That's a lot. That's a lot more that has to be done, right? That's a lot more that has to be done for the other schools leading up to it. Public schooling, elementary, middle, and high school is a whole different thing. But here's where I think we need to make these schools advantageous for the state, right? So let's say in South Carolina. South Carolina has a shortage on 2 different fields right now that are very apparent. We have a shortage on teachers and we have a shortage on nurses here in South Carolina. 2 very, very high need positions that are public necessity, right? The school that each state has that is state funded and run should require that the person that goes to the school take a program related to a state needed position. So something like nursing, if we're low on nurses, teaching, electricians, something like that. Something that is in need, right? Something that is in need. And they should be required to spend at least 1 year working for the state at a predetermined salary, at least 1 year post school working for the state at a predetermined salary. That way the state doesn't have a net negative doing this. They solve a problem at the same time they get people degrees and certifications. And every few years readjust it, right? Readjust it. Be like, okay, we have enough nurses, we have enough teachers. 3 years from now, we have enough. Maybe we need, let's see what we're low on now. We need more engineers, right? We need more nuclear techs, whatever else, right? So, and here's the thing, ultimately, people are going to say, well, Chris, that seems like a lot of state overreach, but it's not. We already give the state taxes. I'm not saying raise our taxes. I'm saying stop dumping it into useless programs. Stop dumping our money into crap, Why do I need a state program to test whether or not the grass is green enough, Put my money into something that's going to help people, because I'm already paying the taxes. At least use it wisely. I don't want to give the state I don't want to give the Fed my taxes at all, but if I have to, at least do it right, I'm a small government person. I don't like a lot of government overreach. But put my money, if you're going to take it, put it somewhere where it matters. I'm near Columbia. But it's one of those things where, like, so many people sit back and they're like, man, I don't like I had a disagreement with someone at one point, online disagreement, obviously, because that's usually how they start, on whether or not we should be feeding children free lunch. I am not I am not for adding a bunch of public programs where they don't need to be added. But if there's one thing that I don't think anybody can disagree on, is that if a child is not getting fed well enough at home, we should be feeding that child. We should be feeding that child. My children are required to go to school in the United States, which is not a bad thing. But if we require them to go to school, we need to feed them. We shouldn't be charging kids for lunch at school. It is a minuscule amount of money that we have to spend to make sure every single child that goes to a public school in the United States has food in their stomach. It is ridiculous that we can, and whether or not you want to extend that beyond the school, that's up to you. But every single child should be fed at a school. There shouldn't be a single child not getting fed. Maybe that's because I'm a parent that I have that stance, but maybe that's me having children that I feel strongly about that. But there's not there's too much money in our tax that goes into taxes in this country. We build stadiums for local college football teams. The high school here has a stadium that probably costs millions of dollars, and you're telling me we need to charge kids for lunch? It's crazy. It's crazy. We're not going to go into that side of things, Bully. These are just like general opinions on normal stuff. I'm not going to get into whether or not conservatives are starting a war or whatever else. I know you're pushing that point, the whole war point right now, but whether or not you agree with what's going on currently is besides the point. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not looking to be a political commentator, but it's not a political commentary to say children need to get fed. So we're not doing politics. I don't think it's a political stance. I don't think it's a political stance to say children need to get fed. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so that's not a. I feel like that shouldn't be a left or right issue. And that's the thing, is the guy that was disagreeing with me. I won't say who or where it happened, but um, the guy that was disagreeing with me said that his tax dollars shouldn't be used to feed other people's children, that they should just work harder. And while I agree that parents have an obligation to their children and should work as hard as humanly possible for their children, um, which whether or not we make that easy is besides the point. You need to feed your children by any means necessary. Um, but it's one of those things of, regardless of that point, if I see a child that's not fed and then I look down the street and there's a foot, the highest paid public position, the highest paid public position in the US, right, is college football coaches. They make millions a year. College football coaches make millions of dollars a year, publicly funded. This is federal and state funded. College football coaches make $1 million salaries. $1 million salaries. And you're telling me that we can't spend 87 cents a day on feeding a child? 87. Each school is going to have to spend, I don't know what, a one thousandth of their budget feeding children. But we can pay the football coach. And I'm a sports guy. I'm a power lifter. I'm into strength sport. I like sports. But I can tell you right now, that is not okay that our football coaches can make $1 million salary coaching football, coaching a sport at publicly funded. It's not privately funded. If it's private, I don't give a care. I don't care what you do with your money privately at private universities. Spend whatever you want to spend it on. But public funds to pay a football coach $1 million salary, and then there's a kid at that same school that can't afford lunch. So yeah, 100%. Whether you're conservative or Democrat or libertarian or anything else, I feel like there's common ground to be found with feeding children. Everybody can agree that children are not only important from a moral standpoint, Like if you can't morally justify it, then you should be able to justify it based on those children or who's going to take care of you. So, because believe it, you don't think it now because you're an able-bodied adult, but in 10, 15, 20 years when you're relying on them to be the head of your military and the doctor that takes care of you on your deathbed, you'll be thankful that we took care of the children then. So, you'll be thankful that we took care of the children then. I have mixed opinions on what athletes get paid because there is public funding that go towards athletes in the college level. But I do think college athletes should get paid because they do risk themselves and they do risk a career later on by doing that. And the school is getting paid. But I do think that college athletics has too much money put into it. Yes. It's one of those things. How do you distract the public from other problems? You put on a circus, right? Put on a circus. I love sports, but there's too much money in publicly funded sports. Too much money in college sports. Yeah. Um, I can tell you right now, like our university here in South Carolina, that university, that stadium is ridiculous. It's crazy, and it's cool to drive by it, but it's like here's the thing: is what is that? Honestly, there's like bring tourism. It doesn't. It doesn't. There's not enough money coming in at that stadium to justify it. There's not. I've been downtown here. Outside of sport days, when the people that live here go downtown, no one's there. No one's there. No one's flying to South Carolina to see uh, the Gamecocks play. You know what I'm saying? We're just chit chatting, Eric. Sundays are just chit chat streams. We're talking about children needing to be taken care of, and the fact that public sports are public funding for sports is too high in the U.S. I am from the Carolinas, yes. I don't smoke, Ben. But I don't know. Maybe I have less people on my side than I think. You guys seem to agree with me. You guys seem to agree with me that there's no reason that there shouldn't be free school lunch for children. And I think we need to also look from a perspective of we need to get real nutrition in schools. Do you guys remember going to school and having pizza for breakfast? Having sausage pizza for breakfast? Stay inside.
Okay.
Love you, Bubba. All right. Um, it is all taxpayer funded, yeah. He's not going to be on stream, guys. I'm not. That's something I'm not going to do right now. Okay, something I'm not going to do. Close the door, Bubba. You're letting bugs in. Close the door. Hey, Bubba, close the door. They are actively trying really hard to be on stream right now. Um, yeah, it's the school lunches are trash. School lunches are trash nutritionally. That's a southern thing, isn't it, Josh? Bubba, Bubba, and Boss Man. Those are the two, right? No, 100%. I think that there needs to be accountability for your own well-being, yes, but the problem that I run into is accountability needs to be held at a parental level. And the issue I have is that we can't hold children accountable for the lack of resources of their parents, right? So we society does not thrive when we let children suffer, you know, when it comes to their nutrition and their education. We're only going to repeat problems, you know. So, but like me, I know how bad the nutrition is in the school lunches, and I pack a lunch for my son to go to school with. He always has a packed lunch. I refuse. Exactly, Alex. And we're expecting these children to be better than their parents, to do more, but we're not giving them the tools. Like, I would go. I don't have this issue. Thank God. I work very hard to make sure my family is well taken care of. But um, as a parent, you should be the first one to go without if your kids need. But as an adult, if I saw my neighbor was struggling, I would want to be able to help them if their kids needed something to eat. We should look at every child, and if there's a school local to you that a child's not eating, we should all look at that as a failure as a community. If there's one child in your community that's not eating, that's a failure as a community, in my opinion. Um, so, luckily, out here where I'm from, we have a lot of uh, public food options. So we actually, a lot of the local churches here, but also the town hall actually hosts every week. They give away meals, like full meals. They set up a big thing and they give away meals. The local food bank, pre-made, pre-packaged, cooked, hot meals every week. And we have what's called a giving box here as well in where I'm from. And that giving box, people can go to the grocery store, get groceries, and actually put groceries in the giving box. And people that need groceries can go get stuff out of the giving box for free, with nobody has to give that to them. They can get it any time of day. And those are always stocked up. People are constantly putting stuff in there. Um, so luckily here in my community, we have a lot more of that happening than I see other places. But my community takes advantage of it the proper way as well. Those giving boxes don't get knocked over. They don't get people aren't taking everything. They're just taking what they need. It's well, the community appreciates those things out here. So it's not possible everywhere, unfortunately, because of the environment. But here where we're at, it is possible. So that's nice. Now, as far as the food, like, yeah, they help a lot. They help a lot. So we here at my house, we tend to keep about an additional like 90 days worth of perishable, like non-perishable foods at my house. We keep it like as a backup for our normal pantry, just in case there's a hurricane or something bad happens. We always have extra food, right? But as that stuff gets to like the last couple weeks before it expires, we donate it and then we restock. That's what we typically do here. So we prep a little bit, not like years of prep, but like I'll have bags of rice and canned goods, and before they expire, I take them down to the food bank and we donate them. And that's something that I think everybody that has the ability to do should do. Now, if that's not comfortable, don't do it. But um, it's comfortable for me to do that. Every 3 months or so. So I do. But that's the thing. Everybody can help a little bit. You don't got to do a lot. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. If everybody does a little bit, it goes a long way. Then we don't have to rely on one person to do a lot. But that's my opinion. I don't think I had any unpopular opinions. Kids need to get taken care of. But it is getting dark, as you guys can see. I am slowly fading into not being able to be seen on this porch. So I will see you guys tomorrow. My PR on the bench is 365. So I am gonna head out. It is that time of night. So yeah, 100%, Robert. I can understand that. I can understand that. It is a vulnerable position, and it can feel bad to be in that position. But yeah, a lot of the time, it's up to the people that can help to reach out. You don't always need to wait for someone that needs help to reach out. You expect them to, but it is in our society, it's a place of shame, and that's not okay. We shouldn't be a place of like that you should feel shameful for needing a hand, right? Everybody at some point in their life needs a hand for the most part in some form or fashion. But it feels bad. It feels bad because it feels like we're not doing enough. And honestly, sometimes you do all you can do, and it's hard to catch up with that stuff. So especially when tough times hit and stuff like that. So, but I appreciate y'all being here, and we'll be back tomorrow with a regular stream. Less moral opinions and more lifty opinions. You know what I'm saying? 100%, Robert. But I appreciate y'all. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna lift. It'll be a good time. I'm gonna get out of the mosquito infested porch.